Welcome to Jlopez Podcast. I'm your host, George, and today we have an amazing guest. Great at what he does. I won't give it away. His name is Pedro Perez, but he doesn't speak Spanish. Pedro. Welcome in.
What's up, brother?
How you doing, man? How you doing?
Good,
you look
bro.
good, man. You look good. You look fit. You look the
Fit?
part, man. Come on.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. I'm trying to follow your lead.
Oh, that was a good compliment, man. I feel good about that.
Bro,
So-
I don't want to take away like your intro, but it's crazy. When I was thinking about it, like as you're like starting up the podcast, like there's got to be some people in here that are like super naturals, and
Yeah.
some people who are just like they're awful. Like, what do you do when somebody's awful?
Oh man, it's so hard when that happens, to be honest. Cause then you have to kind of like so then there's others that their answers is like a 3 answer.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they don't know how to
They can't
express
elaborate.
themselves and oh man, it could get awful. But I don't feel that with you, man. It seems like you are natural. As soon as we met, I immediately saw that I can invite you into the podcast. You have a lot to I'll say give back to this world,
Appreciate
and that's
it, bro.
why one of the many reasons why you were invited here. And apart from that, as soon as you saw the room and what we're doing here, you were super interested.
Yeah.
So man, it's just an honor for me to have you here.
No, I really appreciate that, George. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy, man. Like I'm a huge podcast guy. I love Joe Rogan. I love the Nelk Boys. Like if I want to laugh, you know,
Yeah.
Peter Schiff, like for finance, like there's so many podcasts
Yeah.
I watch.
Yeah.
So when I saw the studio, I was like, in my head, I was like, wow, it would be so cool to be on a podcast. You know what I mean? Because I've never really done
Nice.
that.
Really?
You know,
You've never been on a podcast before.
nah, I've never been on a podcast. Never.
And you're still a natural, man.
You think so?
Yeah, of course, man.
Cool, man.
I
I
mean, it's
appreciate
like
that,
you said,
bro.
it's just like an interview. And talking about interviews, I want to get to know a little bit of your story before we get to the questions.
Yeah, man.
Yes, as a where were you born, childhood?
Yeah.
Give me all the good info.
Yeah. So I guess like my story is really cool. I mean, it's
Come
not
on, man.
crazy,
Yeah,
man,
it's
but,
cool.
So my mom was a single mom. My parents were divorced. My dad, who was like a multi-millionaire, like he had a lot of money. And him and my mom, they split up, and his business kind of took a turn for the worst. So he didn't really have money, which is different part of the story. But so my mom, we went from living like in Pinecrest or the Falls, right? Like
Right.
really
So,
big house, huge
Miami guy. You're a
yeah,
Miami guy.
huge backyard, a lot of money. And then we moved like to Country Walk, where like our house was like pre-foreclosed on like a couple times. So my life like changed, right?
Wow.
Like it went from like I was like, in elementary, this like rich kid, to we could barely pay the rent every month.
Wow. What
but
an
it-
impact in your life.
Yeah, it was an impact in my life for sure. But what was cool about it at that time was I was like terrible at basketball, rich kid, like going to basketball camps. And I moved when I moved to Country Walk, there was all these kids that were outside on the street. You know, when I was in the Falls, nobody was outside, right? Or in Pinecrest.
Right.
And when I was in Country Walk, everybody was outside playing basketball. And there was a couple Section 8 houses on my street filled with like a ton of dudes from the hood, right? It was like 15 kids in one house, 13 in another. And I started getting better at basketball, right?
Wow. Well, I mean, that's where basketball comes from, no?
Yeah.
The streets. And
Yeah.
that's how, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, man, you're big into basketball. I like that.
Yeah, bro.
That's kind of why you're so in fit. You're so in shape. Many years later, I'm assuming.
I guess I don't know. Man.
Sports is already in your blood. So
I
you
appreciate
you go from wow, man. Right off the bat, you're impressing me, man.
that. Oh man, appreciate that. So then going from going into high school, eventually played college basketball. So when I went to go play basketball, I didn't have a lot of money, and I was kind of broke in college. So I took a job at this company called Discover Credit Card Company, and it's crazy. Like we were talking about it earlier. I didn't know I was going to be good at sales. I was studying in school to be a high school teacher, and there was like 30 people in the training class. And when I was training, I was like looking around and everybody was talking about how good they are at sales. And we had to do this upsell at the end of the call. So the customer would call in, their credit card's not working, whatever the case is. And at the end of the call, we had to say, hey, would you be interested in identity theft protection? Or at the time it was like Credit Karma, where they could do a credit report and they had to pay like $7.99 a month or something. And it was a 1-week training. And at the end of the week, I had 30 sales. And the next person up in the training class only had like 6. So I realized there, I said,
Yeah, I'm good at this.
yeah, I'm fucking good at this. Like I'm good at sales.
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
ever expect that, you know? And so long story short, I come home from school.
No, give it the length, man.
Yeah.
We got plenty of time for you. You can take it back to that childhood kid. We want to know more. I'm always very interested in the childhood of
Yeah.
whoever comes, how they develop themselves, you know, throughout middle school, high school, even college. So, man, the time is yours.
Absolutely.
Run us through the whole life scenario so that you can impact many lives. With the story.
Wow. So I don't know where to start. Where do you want me to start, George?
So let's go ahead and see that first grader.
as a first grader.
As a first grader, man.
Fuck, as a first grader. I don't, I can't tell you a lot about elementary because it's almost like I don't remember it.
Wow.
You know, like you go through, I'm sure I went through a ton of things. And I think about that with my kids all the time. I'm like,
right.
Like I'm so focused on the decisions.
It's
that
so
they're
far away that first grader is so far away from what we are now.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, that's why I always ask, because that's one of the first questions I even ask myself. It's like, do you remember that first grader? Are you any, so this is my second question.
Yeah.
Are you able to link that first grader to who you are now? Do you still have that kid in you?
I don't think I have that kid in me anymore. I think that there could be parts of it, but I think that the biggest thing that molded me through my life is the trials that I had to go through. Like when I was in middle school, I was in 7th grade. I was wearing a pink shirt, and I know I'm tall, I'm 6'5", right? But I was short because I went through puberty late. Like, so I didn't grow. I wasn't big yet, whatever the case is. And I was wearing a pink shirt, and this like big kid came up to me and like said, "Don't ever fucking wear pink." And I said, "Shut the fuck up." And the kid fucking punched me in my face.
Boom.
Yeah. And like, it was really, what it was embarrassing.
Right.
Because everybody knew about it.
But
like that shaped me. That
really
fucking hardened me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I think like the trials that we go through in life is really what shapes you. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy, bro.
And in what scenario, in what shape did that give you a turnaround that you're not this tall guy that now you're intimidating to me, man.
Oh,
because now you're a big guy. No, I know you. I mean it in a good way because you intimidate me, but I know you got a good heart. But it's so amazing to see how your story goes to a punch and changing you and giving you that hardship to change, like you say, to change you.
For sure.
How, in what way? Was it in a good way or
I think it motivated me. It like drove me to like whatever it was to be great, right? Like to work out, to be fit, to be competitive, to win in life. You know what I mean? Like, because I hated that feeling, right? That feeling of like you lose, you're losing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Everybody knows about it.
Everybody
it becomes
knows
a whole thing in school. Other kids are gonna start to try you now.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, man.
You walk in and everybody's like whispering and talking. Like, it's crazy that was in 7th grade.
Yeah,
but that's still like is something that I think about every day.
Wow.
And not every day, but
you make a lot of comparisons to that 7th grader.
For sure.
That is definitely nowhere near who you are today.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've shaped yourself up ever since that day. You shaped yourself up to not feel that vulnerable.
100%, George. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah. Bro. I mean, I was a young kid. Same 7th grade. I started here. Yeah. A little school, South Miami. Miami Springs.
Okay.
It was full of intense people.
Yeah.
So I was in a lot of fights, and I felt so scared so many times that I felt the same way. It's like, what do I do so that I don't feel this way anymore? And for you was going, working out.
Yeah, it was like almost like it was anything I could do to um to avoid like that feeling that I had. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
well, how could I prepare myself?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like my life, like, everybody has like talents, right? Everybody has things that they're great at and things that they're not good at, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like one of my talents has always been to like out prepare people. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like, even like with the gym, like there's so many people that are super ripped and but they're taking tests or they're
Right.
taking, and I have nothing against those people.
Yeah.
But like in
The
my mind,
easy
I was
route.
like, I'm gonna beat those people doing it natural. I'm gonna out, you know, and that's like almost everything in life is like, how can I out prepare this person?
It's
You
a
know?
it's a mentality. It's
It's a
a
mentality.
mentality that you gain, that somebody thinking, the way I see it is by somebody thinking it was gonna weaken you, now made you into having this such a strong mentality that
Yeah,
completely shifted to not being a weak no more. It's
for
just
sure.
like, I don't know if you've ever read The Way of the Superior Man.
No, I haven't. Tell me about it.
The Way of the Superior Man is how, I won't tell you much. It's a book that made me be a better man,
Okay.
a better son, a better husband, better father, better friend. Because it also talks about being a weak man. And sometimes we think certain things like that will make you a weak man, but at the end, it doesn't. It makes you stronger mentally and would want to make you stronger physically, right?
Wow.
So I encourage you to read that book, man. It's one of the books I read many times now. First time around, I read it, then nothing stuck to me. Just me reading over and over and over, and then just one page and another and another. And then I remember, my cousin goes to finance in New York, and he had gifted me that book, but I lost it. He comes back like a year later, and I'm like, Primo, bro, remember that book you gave me? Can't remember the name. This was how bad I read the book that I couldn't even remember the name.
Wow.
He goes, look it up. It's the Way of the Superior Man.
The
I
Way of
said,
the Superior Man.
bet, got it. And it kind of relates to a lot of growing that kid to an adulthood
Yeah.
without losing the weak man that we have inside. It's not a bad feeling, by the way.
Sure.
Feeling weak is not a bad feeling. It just empowers you from the weak point
Yeah.
to not feel that again. So I encourage you to read it, man. But anyways, this is not about me.
No,
I'm just
not
trying
at
to
all.
relate, and I can relate with that because feeling weak as a kid is a normal thing.
Yeah. 100%. It's like it's what you do with that weakness, like how you channel it.
Yeah. How you channel it
But-
is the most important, I think.
Like I think like winners win and it losers lose. Like it's as hard as it sounds, like if you believe you're a winner, you're not gonna let things deter you.
It's
know?
it's a mentality you go through. Like you said, there's no way that I'm gonna start this race and think that I'm gonna lose. It's
100%.
I think the same way. It's not like even though you might be taller, you might be, you might have advantage,
Yeah.
but you can't outrun me.
You can't outrun me.
You can't outrun me. We're getting on a treadmill, I'm gonna die in that treadmill. I got it
Yeah.
from Will Smith not too long a while ago when I was going through hard phases in my life where you can't outrun me.
Yeah.
And it starts in the mind, right?
Sure.
So I love that about you, man.
Yeah.
Were you playing basketball already at seventh grade?
Bro, so yeah, actually one of my best friends to this day played middle school with me. Actually a couple of my friends, but my best man at my wedding, he was always like the best guy on the team, right? And I was the worst. Like, so, me being 6'5", my shoe size was the same in 7th grade and 8th grade as it is right now,
Wow.
So I was super slow,
Wow.
and I had not really grown into my body. And they could all tell you, they would all make fun of me. So
You were 5.
I was probably like 5'8",
What are you now?
6'5".
Jesus.
Yeah. So I was playing back then, but I was awful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as soon as you told me, because that's why the story is so amazing. Because as soon as you told me you played basketball, I'm like, yeah, of course he plays basketball. You didn't have to even tell me that, but now you
Yeah.
tell me the complete opposite. I was awful.
Yeah.
I was smaller, and I didn't really outgrow to this body
I
till
was slow. Yeah.
So at seventh grade, 8th grade, you were bad,
Terrible.
terrible.
Terrible. Terrible. I was the worst kid on the team. Fucking crazy. And so I remember going from 8th to 9th grade, and I grew. Like, I remember I was at my dad's house, and he just said to me, he's like, dude, you're growing. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I didn't really know until when I got to 9th grade, and there was kids from my middle school that went to 9th grade, and they're like, I really didn't know I grew. Like, I wasn't measuring myself, nothing.
Right.
And they were like, dude, what the fuck happened to you? And I'm looking at people that used to be taller than me. I had to have, in that summer, went from 5'8" to 6'3", like, for sure.
Boom.
Yeah, for sure.
And
And
no growth hormone.
no cutting the
no cutting
limbs.
corners. Well, yeah. You said that already, but it's impressive because. So how did that? So you grow, but you were already playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You were the worst.
Yeah.
It was like that kid that got punched before, but now all of a sudden, it's like, what's up now?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely wasn't a bully.
Right.
You know?
No, I don't mean it in terms of bully, but now you don't feel that anymore. Okay, somebody imagine me trying to punch you up here. You know?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. But so the 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. Now you've already gotten all the practice. How did that transition to that growth, man? Were you still good at basketball? Were you still bad at basketball?
So I think it's crazy, right? Because everyone would assume, oh yeah, so you went and played basketball. So I got really discouraged, you know? So I didn't try out for the team. I wanted to, but I didn't try out in 9th grade.
This is freshman year.
Yeah, 9th grade passes, 10th grade passes, 11th
no
grade
more
hits.
basketball, even though with the height. Now you have the height.
Yep.
And you're deciding.
Yeah. Crazy. So 11th grade hits, and I start playing at the park. I don't know. I just kind of like got back into it, was playing every day, was playing in my neighborhood. And then I would say like around spring break that year, I walked up to the coach and I said, hey, is there any way that I could practice with the team? So I joined the team, and there was like 2 other big men that were supposed to be there at practice, but they weren't able to go that day. It was off season, right? It was just practice. So this is me not even on the team. They were like, the coach is like, just come and practice.
Yeah, just join.
Yeah. And he throws me in the starting lineup because there's no other center that's able to play. So we're running a motion. And even though I wasn't good, I had a lot of basketball IQ.
Yeah. A lot of repetition, a lot of played.
But even today, like, I could coach basketball. Like I've always had this like IQ for the game. So we were running like a motion set, and this is like my first time, but I got it pretty quick down, and we ran like a play, and as the big, you had to decide what to do. And so I caught it, and because they gave me space, I hit a 3.
Boom.
And now the coach is like, what the fuck just happened? Like, this guy, we've never seen this guy play. He's 6'5", and he fucking drains a 3. So it kind of like just transformed.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it really quick, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, and what I see is you put in so much effort, and you were still sucking at it, so to say.
Yeah.
Because of your height. Now all of a sudden you don't play till then, but it's muscle memory.
Yeah, it's muscle memory.
It's muscle memory. And then and as soon as you, like you say, like you have now you had the repetition, you have the IQ that you can coach the game, and you're in 11th grade, just boom.
Yeah.
How did that take off from there?
So I would say I wasn't the star player, you know, at that point. But I had IQ, I was smart. And then I met like a group of friends that they were all going to church. So we kind of like all got really heavily involved like in youth group, you know. And so, I mean, we could talk about church and youth group, but what I did was I messaged a coach at a Christian college and said, "Hey, I would like to play for your college." Coach invited me up. I went and tried
This
out.
was at 12th grade or?
Yeah, like a 12th grade summer.
So, okay. Yeah. Towards the end.
Yeah. So I messaged the coach. I went up, I practiced. The coach was like, "You're good enough to come here." But when I got there, I was like, I thought I was good, but everybody was fucking nasty.
Yeah.
Like all black boys that were all fucking dunking. Like they were fucking
from
good.
the streets.
Yeah, like a lot of them were from the streets. Like I'm talking about, like I thought I knew what ghetto was. I thought I knew what hood was. I thought I knew.
Started to play in college.
Yeah, like I'm talking about, like all my boys to this day. Like I truly love, like a lot of them. Like I mean, I was roommates with them. You know what I mean? Like we lived together.
But they all came up in from the hood.
I would say most of them came from the hood. Like I got
into a Christian.
Christian college, because most of them were recruited locally. So think about like FIU, recruits a lot of players locally in Miami. In Columbus, this college, Valor College, I would say 75 to 80% were recruited from Columbus. They were kids that were D1 potential, but they just didn't have grades, So, no, man, it was cool. I mean, a lot of them are just, some of my best friends still to this day.
That's amazing, bro.
Yeah.
That's amazing because, I mean, you not only play with them, but you also share the time of motivating one another and teaching one another, I'm assuming.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah, so for sure they're great friends, man.
Yeah.
So you, in your story, you have also there that you were studying to be a teacher.
Yeah. So I that was like my goal. I was like, I'm gonna be a teacher and a basketball coach.
Teacher and a basketball coach.
Yeah, and then I wanted to be a pastor on the side, And I always tell people, like, where you look at yourself 5 years ago, you would have never predicted you'd be in this position today.
Okay.
Like, would me and you have predicted that we would have been sitting here on a podcast?
Never would have. No, there was no way I would have ever thought you were gonna be sitting on this chair.
Yeah, that we would have even connected. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But life has a way of doing things sometimes. Like again, in a part of the story I told you about me, it was I was a non-believer of nothing,
For sure.
And here I am. I believe in God now these days, and I'm very hard on it. And you come from that background, so I think in a way, even though we don't think we might be sharing stories with somebody 5 years from now, somehow we're working ourselves to meet some people that are gonna make a great impact in our lives, like you're making in mine.
Oh man, you're making a great impact in my life, George.
Thank you,
talk,
brother.
like it just this experience being on this podcast is cool. Like,
thank you, man. And that's the reason behind it, is because I launched it to be something of my hobby, so that we can just share times like this and impact others throughout the cameras, throughout the mics, throughout the stories. That's the most important to me. People are looking for a way of making money throughout the social media deal.
Sure.
I'm just looking to impact other lives, man. Because at the end of the day, whatever starts in a humble and hearted way turns out to be the best.
Yeah.
And in my case, for example, there's a lot of things that I got to shut down because of algorithms that aren't gonna get more exposure and things like that. Whenever those subjects come to mind, I'm like, I don't want to know about them.
Yeah.
Because it takes away the authenticity of, now I gotta, like you said, when a conversation goes awful, it goes awful, man. Why would I have to redirect it in a way where I gotta take you away from what you want to say or what you came here to say? And I just let it flow, let it be free.
Let it flow.
Give it what you got. Give it what your heart desires.
Yeah.
And whatever those 5 years ago that we didn't think of, we were gonna be sitting here today, brought us here because of new experiences, new encounters, and many other things that now we get to share 5 years later, right?
100%.
So you studied to because you started to give a little bit of a nuggets about discovery. So well, let's get on there, because that's the real part that I'm super interested in. How do you go from playing professional college basketball to studying to be a teacher? How do you transition, or what makes you transition in life to go into sales? You say you had this part-time in
So first of all, like I think everybody does sales in their life.
Well, before there, no, of course, we're sales. We're sales guy as a kid. You know, it's
Yeah.
not something that you got to work yourself to.
For sure.
We're as a kid, our survival, it's being a sales guy. Just that people think, oh, it's I'm not good at it. It's like for example, some of it in your stories, like you might have not even think that you're good at it.
Yeah.
And most of the people that I've known, so I did Herbalife for a long time.
Yeah, that's a grind, bro.
Yeah, so that was hard sales.
Yeah.
And I came across so many people that were brilliant at sales that you had no idea. And they would all tell me, oh man, I can't do that business.
Sure.
I'm not good at sales. Woman, I'm not good at sales. You're selling naturally, by the way. You know, I came across people that would sell naturally way better than the people that thought that were good at sales. You know, so and it attracts me because way before that job that made you realize that you were good at sales, what was the first job that you had as a kid?
So I worked at McDonald's.
Wow.
So my uncle got me that job. It was, you know, I learned so much at McDonald's. I get really upset when people trash McDonald's because it taught me so much.
Okay.
You know, and I always wanted to be the best. Like I remember one time I'm serving orders and the line is all the way back to the door. And so I'm taking the order and then I'm preparing the order. I didn't prepare the burger, right? Because I was kind of done in the back, but the guy in the front has to get the fries, has to grab the burger, and I'm running back and forth. I'm taking 3 orders, I'm running. And I swear people were like almost applauding because they're like, man, we've never seen somebody just handle it. And I took care of that line. And that was always like the mindset I had was I really wanted to be the best.
Yeah.
And I get upset when I go to a drive-through and somebody's not smiling or something because it's like, man, like you're here, like I'm here to spend money. And like, if you don't have that mindset with your own job, then that's going to carry on throughout the rest of your life.
Man, that's a conversation of its own.
Yeah.
I just had it with my mom, and I think it's been the conversation that's been chasing me this week.
Wow.
Because it's like that work ethic, it's lost, man.
It's lost. It really
it's
is.
Like into I think I'm 31, so I think from the 30s, I think from the 2000s till now, it's like, where's the work ethic, man?
Where is the work ethic, man? It's
even like in the McDonald's, it's like, let the line be the line. I don't care. This is not for me. But then I meet people like, I think it's when I met, you know, I got to fully see the story of Pete today. Yeah. And it's something similar to yours. And then I get to see your story now that you also have that work ethic in me. And it's just a reminder, it's just a refresher that there are still people out there with integrity and hardworking labor people, man.
Yeah.
And I think that's now, how do you see ourselves kind of giving that back, or how can we get people to have that work ethic?
Man, it's hard. I mean, because there's like such a combination, right? Like, I think part of it is on like us as like parents, really. Like, you know, do you have children, George?
Yeah, I do. I have a 16-year-old.
Yeah. So
it's not my own, but
it's your own.
Yeah, it's my own.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
So going back, I think part of it is on us as parents, and part of it is like society, bro. Like, this is like, I'm definitely more of a Republican than a Democrat, but what I'm gonna say is kind of Democrat, dude. Like, I feel like the cost of living is so much more crazy than it ever was like when we were growing up, that it's low-key discouraging for kids.
Yeah, it is.
You know, like they're like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I'm not making any money. You know, like it hurts. Yeah. But then there's also a level of like, as parents,
and then we see all this social media
and
influencers that
they're crushing it.
Millions of dollars.
Yeah.
This guy
non-productive
who doesn't
job, not doing anything for society but creating entertainment.
This? And you telling me that it's got paid by TikTok $20 million, exactly. 2024?
100%.
What makes any kid want to go into hard labor?
100%, man. 100%. And then like, it's us as like fathers, right? Like teaching our kids like hard work and good morals, and not allowing things like, you know, sitting on a computer all day. Like, those are all tough things. And as fathers, we got to be there and help train our kids, right? Like, I think that the previous generation has done better with their kids in the sense of like being being a rule maker, like like saying, "Hey, I don't need to be your friend." And I think that our generation as fathers, we're so focused on being friendly with kids that we haven't like set that like iron fist enough. And
I agree with that because my mom used to beat the shit out of me.
Exactly, bro.
It's like
100%.
It was a normal thing. And now the first thing school tells kids is like, if they beat you, just call the police.
I literally tell my kids' teachers, I'm like, listen, like, if you want to spank them, spank them. I don't give a fuck. Like, I know that they're not going to do it.
Right. Because we're in a different era. All this of just free access to the internet.
Yeah.
Also, it's just like we only had access to that authority, that mom, and we relate because I also come from a single mom. My dad left when I was 10 months old.
Damn, I'm sorry to hear that.
And I got a similar story to yours. My dad was a baller in Cuba, bro.
Baller, like what sport?
So no, not sports. Like he was balling and he had money, bro. So he was like a superintendent to one of the biggest golf courses there is in Cuba.
Okay.
By our, there was, bro, every kid wanted, for example, my sister was the famous kid in school. She had the best stroller. She had the best clothing.
Wow.
And all of a sudden he leaves my mom with 2 kids, and just my grandpa was a hard trucker. And bro, it was like, who the fuck are you guys talking about, man? People to talk about my dad, I was like, shit, man, I'm eating bread and sugar, bro. Fuck. This was back in 1993. Cuba was not as bad as it is now, but it was bad.
It was bad.
It was real bad. So I relate to you a lot because I didn't get to see that rich dad, bro.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know who the fuck you guys are talking about, man.
Damn, dude.
So I'd relate in that sense where I had, coming back to it, is I had that one figure, that one authority figure that there was no internet to tell me she's lying, or there was no internet to tell me there was otherwise, right?
Yeah.
So I think that nowadays we're missing a little bit of even the kids nowadays, how I see them talk to their parents. It's like, shut the fuck up, man. I'm gonna slap you, bro.
Yeah.
You would even till this day. My mom works for me, by the way. She just left a few minutes before.
I saw her walking out as I was walking.
Yeah, as you were walking out. So that was one of my dreams, because as an immigrant, when we got here, after those struggles that we went through in Cuba, we finally get to come to the United States, and it's like starting from zero.
Right.
Single mom, 3 jobs. I was 11 years old. I would cook for her. So whenever she got home at 12, she was only going to sleep about 4 hours, so she can wake up at 5, go to a hotel, and grind again. And then after making so many beds at a hotel, go to a cafeteria, and then from a cafeteria, go to school to become a nurse. And I see many kids that, bro, they're born in this era. They're born here, and they're not taking advantage of it. And I just retired. Now, I don't call it retired, but I finally got to tell my mom about a few months ago, quit your job. You're going to come work for me, and I'm going to pay you more than what they're paying you. So we're missing that in this society. We're missing people that are respectful, that got work ethic, and that just want to give back to society like you and I.
Yeah, going back to your point, that's a huge thing I didn't even think about, is like when you come from a different country, you know what it is to have like nothing and to have to fight. Yeah. Right. And things aren't going to, and the government's not going to take care of you.
The one thing, bro, freedom that we have here. There's no freedom in Cuba, man.
No freedom, bro.
Zero.
No, my wife, her and her parents came here in I think 93, I want to say 92 or 93, one of the two. Yeah. They, my father-in-law, he's a VP at an electrical contracting company. Bro, barely speaks English, and he made it. Like, he's making a ton of money.
If you can make it here, I mean, come on, man.
Anyone can make it, man. That's the thing that does upset me, is that anybody,
people take for granted.
No, like anytime somebody says like the system's rigged against them, And I don't believe that, man. Anybody can make it with hard work, creativity.
Yeah.
You know, you'll figure it out.
My mom made it all alone, and she got two kids out of poverty
100%.
just by hard worker.
Probably barely speaking English.
Oh yeah. She don't care.
Exactly. She made it happen.
She never like, again, we go back into mentality, right? There was no way that you could have told her that she wasn't going to pay her bills. Right? That was all she was focused on. Which, by the way, that the focus shifted and changed of that mentality of just always trying to provide and provide and provide. Now it's rewarding to see that, let me provide.
100%.
You know, but there's still that mentality. By the way, it goes back to, bro, she doesn't have to be here early. Her hour is from 8 to 5. She's 15 minutes early. And I would have to tell her sometimes, hey, Mom, there's nothing to do. Go home.
Wow.
Just go home.
Don't worry about it.
She's looking for something to do. What else can I do? You don't have to do anything.
As much as we want to take care of our parents, they want to stay valuable.
Yeah.
Like as they get older.
And that's why I gave her the job, because there was no way I would have seen my mom just stayed home.
Yeah.
I would have killed her. If I would have told my mom, here's your whole salary, stay home, bro, I would kill her internally, by the way. Yeah, because it's not in her. It's not in you. Like, how do you retire when you're not ready to retire, you know? And then you don't feel like it's earned. You don't feel like any of this money's earned. So she's here grinding all day, bro. She's the hardest worker I have, by the way.
Dude, like I would love to hear what a psychologist's opinion is on when people retire, what they go through.
Right?
I think that they go through a lot.
Yeah, man, because it's like you worked all your life for this, and all of a sudden it's like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Because some people retire, they don't have the health to even go travel, or they don't even have the funds.
They don't have the funds
to stay home. So how do I stay home not being productive? But we went a little bit of sidetrack there.
No, we're good.
Let's
man.
take it back to McDonald's, hardworking guy.
Yeah.
Well, we know you got work ethic behind you. You're putting it in on McDonald's. What's that next job?
Yeah, so then I worked at Discover, right?
Right. So you were at Discover. You already going to school to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And you've entered Discover.
Yeah. So I'm working. So my mindset was I was gonna not come home from college my first summer. I was gonna stay and work.
Okay.
Right. And so I stayed in. I applied for Discover, got the job. I was gonna train from 8 a.m. to like 1 p.m. I would leave my dorm because they let me stay there for free. I would leave the dorm. I would drive to Lifetime Fitness, which this is 12 years ago when Lifetime Fitness was $30 a month in Columbus, Ohio. Now in Miami, Lifetime Fitness is $300 a month.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then we didn't have it till almost a year ago.
Exactly.
I can't wait till they have something like that around here.
Oh yeah, it's a
so I thought it was just a gym that just popped up, but no, it's been around for how long?
No, it's been around a long time. I mean, it was in Ohio 12
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 35, 15 years ago.
Wow.
You know? So, so I would go there. I would lift weights. I would play basketball. I would do drills. I would shower. I would change for work, and I would get to work at 3, and my shift was 3 to 11. And then I would get Taco Bell every night, and I would play spades with my roommates because all my boys, we would throw down for like 2 hours every night. We'd play spades, and I would just do it all over again.
Boom.
So I did it for a couple weeks, and I kind of got homesick, and I wanted to come home.
Wow.
So I went home, and I just ended up.
You came back to Miami.
Yeah, and I just ended up not going back to college. So it kind of like was like I didn't finish college, right?
Okay.
And I'll talk about that more. But so then I went and I interviewed for a job working at Carnival Cruise Lines. So
before Discover.
No, when I came back from school,
okay.
my dad's like, "Hey, brother, Like you don't got to go to school, but you gotta go out and get a job. Like, what's up?
You
know? And I was like,
gotta make some bucks.
Exactly. So I interviewed for Carnival Cruise Lines, and I remember I interviewed with 2 people. The first guy was like, I don't think you could do the job. I'm young.
What a challenge.
Right? I'm young.
Did he challenge you?
No, he said he didn't think I could do the job, and he X'd me. He didn't. And then the second guy I interviewed with, he was like, his name was Mike Falcon. He said, I'm going to give you a shot. So he hired me.
Boom.
And so we had, I don't know, 20 people in the training class. And what they do is there's 4 sales managers. And the sales managers do this draft at the end of the training class, which is about a month long. And I found out I was picked last in the training class to be one of their. So, there's 4 floors. Each floor has a sales manager, and they draft based on how everyone did in the training. I guess they thought I was going to be terrible. Well, I was the number 1 sales guy in the training class, won Rookie of the Year, a top 5 sales guy out of 700 people in the call center, grinding, pounding the phone, 150 calls a day, 150 calls,
Wow.
Yeah. So I was with my wife. We had our first kid probably like my 4th year in at Carnival. And I really wanted to do like an outside sales job, but I kept interviewing, and everybody would always say, you don't have outside sales experience. That means like visiting people face to face. You just have inside sales. All you know how to do is.
That's me, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly.
I'm a door knocker.
Yeah. That's amazing, bro.
Yeah, I'm a door knocker.
That's amazing.
So the inside sale, you see how I'm now going to be interested more on you so that I can do inside sales, because I'm a face-to-face type of sales guy. So you didn't have that experience of outside sales. What did you do about it?
Yeah, so it's crazy because first of all, I hate when people say that, because I think that if you're an amazing inside salesperson, you'd be an amazing outside salesperson.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
I have more respect for inside salespeople because it's a
Bro,
grind.
come on, man.
You gotta pound the phone. There's no like, time when you have to yourself. You're grinding all day long.
100%.
Yeah. So honestly, man, I just started lying. I was like interviewing for jobs, telling people, yeah, I do.
The resume can the resume can hold anything you put against, and that's anyways. If you can prove it, then what about it?
I started telling people that I graduated college.
Boom.
And what I figured was people really didn't check. And it sucks because like I look back at it, and I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't have to like lie through to get there. But like, I think that all those things like graduating college, having outside, like could it matter to some people? Yeah. But anyways, like, so I started interviewing for all these jobs, and I got a job to work at Robert Half. Right. So that's a staffing agency where they recruit. I bounced from that job to a medical device company.
Ooh.
And this was like, I was like, fuck, finally I made it. And dude, I interviewed for so many medical device companies, but you're required to have a degree for anything in pharmaceuticals.
Right.
So I would interview, and they would say yes. They would check my college stuff, and I would get crossed. But then this company didn't check.
Boom.
And they hired me.
Crushed it.
Yeah. And I fucking crushed it. I did so good in outside sales. And
what was it about, by the way?
It was selling hearing aids.
Okay.
So basically what I would do is I would go to all these like audiologists that sold hearing aids, and I would tell them that we could set up a software that we would shoot them leads. Like we would qualify the customers, and then if they were in the area, we would set them up with an appointment. But so it was a startup. You can look them up, here.com. It was a startup. And I actually, they restructured and let go of all the outside sales guys. Well, at this point, I have my son. My wife's a stay-at-home mom. I'm freaking the fuck out.
Fuck.
I got like 10 grand in the bank. I don't got money like that, and I start applying for jobs, applying. And I remember we had a trip to go to New York to see some friends. And I told my wife, I'm like, Leonette, like, I don't think we can go to New York. Like, I don't got money. I don't have a job right now. Like, and she's like, oh my God, but babe, we have everything booked, the hotel. Like, and I was like, let's just go. But I had been interviewing for a lot of jobs, and a lot of like really cool jobs I look back at, like startups and stuff I would have loved to be a part of. But I interviewed for like a rep firm. So you have guys like, I don't know, Jasco, ICS,
Right.
like all these rep firms calling you.
Yeah.
Well, there was a small plumbing rep firm. All right. So I remember I went and interviewed before the trip. I interviewed for them, and I remember meeting the guy, and he's like explaining to me about the position. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to be selling? Toilets? I remember he asked me one question. He asked me this, yeah. So you know what a 2x4 is, right? And dude, I kid you not, back then I had never used a drill. I didn't know what a 2x4 was. I didn't know. I fucking didn't know what it,
Yeah,
like. I was like, grew up with a single mom who, I didn't have a dad teach me anything about construction. Anyway, so I interviewed for it, and I remember leaving the interview going, what the fuck did I just do?
For that one plumbing guy.
Yeah, for that one plumbing it was a rep firm. And I left. I sent a follow-up email thanking him, and we flew to New York. That morning, he called me, and when I was in New York, he's like, his name is Paul. He's like, Pedro? I was like, hey, Paul, how you doing? He's like, good. Hey, this is one interview. The guy goes, hey, I just want to let you know I want to offer you the job. I'm in New York. It's just 9 a.m. at my friend's apartment. We slept on a blow-up mattress, in their studio. Yeah. And I'm like, I'd love to work there. And it was a base salary of 70 grand at the time. I was so fucking excited. And so whatever. So I get the job, boom, boom, boom. I remember he paid me the day I started for the whole month, which is like weird, So it helped me because
he paid you for the whole month.
Yeah, this is like
what the fuck?
He paid and he just offered me the job on the spot. Like this is like all crazy, So I get the job and I start calling on companies like Ferguson, Lehman Pipe, all these distributors. But bro, I had no fucking clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was walking into these like plumbing warehouses and like with a bag of like Mickey Mouse clips, or like
not even knowing what a toilet looks like.
Yeah, PVC pipe. And I was like, hey, what are you paying on this? Like, I want to sell it to you. But after a couple months, I started understanding the industry and learning products and being able to speak the language. And I started getting good at it. So one thing led to another. This company, Victaulic, they sell the orange couplings. They noticed what I was doing in the market, and they offered me a job. So then it took my salary from, this point to this point. And then, I eventually ended up at Ferguson where, I'm super happy to be, because it's like all these innovative solutions we're doing, but it's just crazy how like life takes you. I would have never expected I'd be selling construction products and I'd have such a passion for it,
Yeah. What grew that passion to what made you have that passion?
Passion for what?
For the construction of the things.
I think like there's a level of like my competitiveness. I want people to like feel like I'm an expert, and I think like through like studying and trying to learn and wanting to win. My boss right now, Jason Williams, he's like a mentor of mine. He's like the best boss I've ever had. And he told me a couple of years ago, he goes, Pedro, you know what I love about you is that you hate to lose more than anyone I know. Like you will do whatever you got to do to win. And it's crazy because somebody who had like zero mechanical aptitude, right? Like wanted to learn so much just because of like my desire to win, And I'm not saying I'm more of a winner than anyone else, or I want to win more than, but it's just
something internal. It's a
internal
mentality that, again, it's something internal.
Yeah, for sure.
You're only winning to yourself.
Only winning to yourself.
The race is not against anybody else. They might, like you said, you were winning. It goes back into the story of when you were going to Discovery. Who were you racing? Because if you would have probably seen the numbers, you would have been like, oh, that guy got 4 sales. I'm good with 6. And you blew it. You got like 20.
And man, I fucking hate that mindset of like that subpar.
Because when you compare yourself to somebody else, you're already putting a limiting belief that if they sell 6, I beat him with 10.
I'm good with 8. I could vibe. Nah.
Yeah, when you go above and beyond, it's like you don't even look back.
it's like it's not about like racing the guy next to you. It's
No,
like
it's
racing yourself.
exactly.
Like, how could I like better myself? You know?
And tell me, because I've worked with. So the reason why I got to Ferguson,
Okay.
it was through an old supplier that Ferguson bought out.
What was the supplier?
He was a HVAC supply that had a big supply. Was the only supply in South Beach. Donnie and Edita.
Donnie Figueroa or something?
Donnie and Edita, where Pete is at.
Okay. Yep.
Is that his last name?
Yeah.
Donnie.
Yeah.
So I'm 19 years old. I'm just a helper. And the energy that they provided, right? Many years later, I be a manager to a big company in Naples, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden I leave the industry to be a full-time Herbalife sales guy, just crushing it.
Grinding. That's hard. That's hard, bro.
So that's where I learned inside sales. I was so used to it. So way before I quit, I got offered the managing position to a startup company that I blew. Yeah. It was then I became I was a manager, then I became the accounts manager, and I was named the CEO, but it was a startup company where I was never the CEO. Yeah. But it was because it was just the boss, me, and that's it. The rest of the employees. First year, 1.3 mil. Second year, 3.5 mil. Fifth year, 5 mil. We blew over 5 something. And all of a sudden, I leave the industry.
Wow.
I leave it. That's it. Come back a few years later. Dunny had the warehouse where they're at right now. He was partnered with his brother, and Ferguson comes in and buys him out.
Yeah.
And that's now when I start to know about Ferguson, and I don't know a lot about it. But every time I talk to a Ferguson staff member,
they bleed blue.
Man, they're so passionate. Why is that?
I think like Ferguson is like a little bit like a brotherhood. Still corporate, but it's a brotherhood, and it's like, my boss's boss, Chris Guida, you know what he told me the other day? He goes, you either get on the train or you get run over by the train. 100%. So you make and that's like kind of Ferguson's like motto is like, listen, we're changers, we're disruptors, and you can either jump on board or you can
This is so good, man.
Yeah.
So in my industry, there's a brand that's called Train.
Yeah, I know Train.
You know Train?
Yeah, of course.
And I went to Tyler, Texas. They have a motto that it's hard to stop a train.
Okay.
I'm a young kid. I'm 19 years old.
But they train you on chillers.
So I get sent out for a few weeks. Didn't care.
Sure.
It was my uncle's company. I'm young. There was girls there from all over the state. There was guys. I was just there to party. I went there with my cousin.
Hell yeah, that's what
I went there to party, but there was
shit. Like everybody goes there.
But long story short, I'm hanged over, dude.
Yeah.
It was almost towards the end. We were talking about a chiller. And the guy goes, it's hard to stop a train.
Yeah.
And I'm all hanged over. I'm like, yeah. It's also hard to start one too. Bro, I got my ass beat.
Yeah.
By everybody. And everybody goes, what have you learned, George? Yeah. Because if you have that mentality, it's hard to start a train, is because what were you here to do, man?
Yeah. It's true.
What a clown back in those days. But long story short, it's kind of like the similar. It's like either you get with the train or you get run over by the train. And like that punch that they that guy was like, man, I was so stupid, bro. Like,
yeah.
What were you thinking? It's now,
what were you thinking?
And now it shifted my whole mentality. It's like now, what was that all about? And gave me a perspective of, man, I'm not taking any of the next courses for granted.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna be that stupid. Matter of fact, when they're asking questions now, man, I'm gonna nail every single question. long story short, by literally that's it. My cousin would tell me, let's go party or whatever. And then it's just shifted completely, bro.
Sure.
Completely shifted, you know? So, and I see that Ferguson, I see something that I want to build. And I think I am building that brotherhood, that family company. And every time I talk to Ferguson, is they bleed blue, bro. It's like, how do I become that company?
Damn, that's hard, man. I think it's like a basketball team, right?
Went
You
to
got-
different industry, by the way.
yeah.
They're suppliers.
No,
I'm
it's all
an
the
AC.
same, man. It's
So yeah, it's all the same. But yeah, how do what course, what inner blood, and how do I inject that blue blood into my team?
So I think number one, right? This is like, I believe this in anything, is every company is like a basketball team. If I take a basketball team that has 4 kind of selfless basketball players, they kind of pass, they kind of don't. They're right in the middle, right? They're not ball hogs, they're not selfless, right? And I put a really unselfish person on that team. Everybody on that team is going to be a little bit more unselfish. If I instead of taking that one person and putting on that team, I put a super selfish person. Everybody on that team is going to become a little bit more selfish. And I think like company culture, like putting the right people on your team with the right attitude is the most important thing. Like I think it was Zuck, but it could have been like Elon Musk, somebody, a really popular entrepreneur said that instead of hiring skill set, hire personality.
Mindset.
Like good people who are, who are hardworking, who bring good values to the team. You can teach them the skills, you know?
Yeah.
But don't bring a pipe fitter on your team that's a phenomenal, super smart, but just an asshole.
Yeah.
Just like don't bring a top sales guy that's an asshole. Like those things are what will kill your culture. You know, like at this point, George, like you're Jerry Jones, bro.
Yeah.
Like you gotta, that's what my boss's boss told me when he was hiring me. He's like, I'm just Jerry Jones, man. I'm just trying to put together the best team. Like you are Jerry Jones. And you just gotta put the best people on the floor.
That's what I think you nailed it right then and there. That's what I strive for, because I see in the industry many people that I would like to hire, but I don't, just because of their attitude. I read this Spaniard guide. He's got a formula.
Okay.
It's I'm trying to translate it. It's habilidad, which is ability plus knowledge times attitude.
So true, bro. Because your ability and your knowledge, they matter.
Yeah.
But that
you can have,
so much more
that's you got it off the bat, because you can have the, like you were just saying, you can have the other two.
Yeah.
But then your attitude is shit, bro, you just killed it all.
That's why, like, when you look at,
you can be the smartest in the room, you can have the most skillful insights in your head, but then your attitude is shit, we're not doing any type of business, bro.
I can't stand salespeople who come to work every day with a shitty attitude.
Yeah.
Like that, like demotivates everybody else around them. And it's not even a salesperson, it's just an employee. You know what I mean? Like you as a business owner, I'm sure having like somebody with a shitty attitude, it
drags my energy, bro.
Get out of here, bro.
As a team leader,
man.
I just can't see a dragger.
When we met the other day, I could tell you have this awesome energy, bro.
Thank you, brother.
Smile on your face. You're excited. You got me excited to want to sell to you. Like,
and I was having an awful day, dude, by the way.
Dude, you know what, man? It's impressive that you're so good at bringing this charisma, even when things aren't going the right way, man.
That's all I've done.
That's a talent, dude.
Thank you, brother. Yeah. Thank you. Because at the end of the day, I also have a quote that if I come into your life and I can't get a smile out of you, I'm not impacting your life. I have made a zero impact in your life that you won't remember me. And the one way I know somebody will remember me is if I can get that smile out of your face.
Wow.
Because it's not even about me, bro. It's never about me. It's about the person that comes across you, might be even having a worse day than you are, that you think you're having a terrible day. And all of a sudden, that person that's having a way awful day, you get that smile off of him, you feed that energy back, and it's so rewarding, brother.
So rewarding, dude. So
You
rewarding.
know?
It is.
Because at the end of the day, it's like everybody lives in their own little world.
And you don't know how it feels to walk in someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
You really don't, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's something that like
Every story matters. That's the reason why we're sitting here and I invested so much into this room.
Yeah.
Because every single story matters to the max. Like your story, how was similar to mine of childhood.
Yeah.
That having that father figure that all of a sudden, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And that's really at the end of the day what I'm trying to get across. Kids that are now being suicidal because they don't have a father figure. They don't have an uncle. They don't have a mentor. They don't have a guide to talk to. But by one video that they just lock in because they see your story and they somehow see themselves through you, it's like you're giving them inspiration.
Yeah.
You're giving them a shifted motivation to say, man, look at this story and I can come across if he came across all that.
That's so true, bro.
So, man, what would you tell your 5-year-old kid?
Wow. Boy or girl?
No. I'm sorry. I laid that one wrong. What will you tell yourself
at 5?
A 5-year-old?
Wow, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
That's really tough. I mean, I think if I looked at myself when I was 5, I would say, bro, you're going to have an amazing life. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like whenever you go through like
shitty
situations in your life, like when I got punched in the face when I was a kid, or I'm just trying to think of like embarrassing moments.
Yeah.
Like those are like I think like when you really get embarrassed, those can be some really hard moments, or like just different things, right? But like looking back at it, like, bro, I can't complain about my life. You know, I have amazing wife. I've been able to be faithful to her for 12 years. Most people, it's really hard, you know. I have 2 amazing kids. I have a boy and a girl. I have a great family. I have a great job, you know, like I'm excited to come to work every day. You know, like, dude, like I would look at myself when I was 5 and say, bro, you're going to have an amazing life. Don't worry, you know? And maybe that would have been the wrong thing, because like maybe like my worrying and my stress, you know, maybe not when I was 5, but throughout my life, you know, going back to, I think that's what helped mold me.
I feel that.
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
Talk to me. Why do you feel that?
Because that's what one of the many things I tell myself these days. I come to the conclusion that I'll go back to talking to that kid.
Yeah.
You know, and because I have many roles of being a company owner, providing for so many people, that sometimes I lose that kid. I'm a kid at heart, man.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a kid.
Me too.
I bring that kid everywhere where he's permitted in.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a mean society.
Yeah.
So sometimes I got to protect him from certain environments. But once he's free and he can live through my adulthood, and I get to see how he enjoys what he's doing. But then again, some days, like the other day that I wasn't having a good day, even though at the end of the day, just one more smile, like I'm saying, just changes the whole thing. I go back. And when he's shying away, when days like that he doesn't want to come to work, that is me as an adult, doing the daily tasks that I have to do, he shies away, and I just go back and tell him, hey, listen, man, it's all gonna be okay.
It's all gonna be okay.
It's all gonna be okay. Don't just hide away, man. I need you. I need you more than ever. That's what I tell my 5-year-old.
Yeah.
That's what I tell me as a 5-year-old, because he lives inside me and he hides away when there's fear.
Yeah.
And what do you do as a father? Come on, man. There's no fear on the other side.
Yeah.
So I think it's an internal thing with me, myself, and I, that that I faced that this year many times, where he doesn't want to come to play, man.
Yeah. You know,
He doesn't want to come and to the playground. He's shying away because society is a beast, man.
society is a beast. And that's like the hardest thing about being a father sometimes is like you sometimes your kids got to go through the shit, right?
Yeah,
They got to go
yeah.
through tough moments.
Yeah.
And I feel like one thing that I do is like sometimes I try to block those moments. Like I try to like help my son or my daughter get through those without having to go through those.
Right.
And I ask myself, like, am I doing the right thing? Like,
Yeah.
should I be letting them go through this? Like,
Yeah.
you know, is this
Should I make it easier because I can?
exactly?
Or should I just let them hit the wall and I know they're gonna hit the wall?
It's hard
It's hard, man.
because there's really no right or wrong.
Yeah, it's like I'm saying. I have a 16-year-old that I got when she was 14. I got to experience the change of whenever I sit down with her, it's just two kids sitting down. Again, when I have to be the father,
Sure.
I also bring the kid and involve him sometimes so that she can relate.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, it's all gonna be okay.
It's all gonna.
Your worries are gonna go away next year. Whatever you're worrying about right now, we're not even gonna think of it next year. And then, but sometimes we forget to tell ourselves that,
100%.
when it comes to being the best, being the number one, you demand so much of yourself that you forget to tell yourself, hey man, it's all gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So you told that to your 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because we spoke about how we didn't even know 5 years ago we were going to see sitting here. So, but more or less, what do you see yourself in 5 years?
I think hopefully there's some sort of progression within my career and work, right? Whether it's a promotion, making more money, more investments, right? Whether it's through the stock market or through purchasing additional houses.
I have my wife for that, man.
Yeah.
New construction, real estate.
Yeah, my realtor will fucking want to cut my head off.
I'm just doing my daily doings, man. But I love it though, because not a lot of people think that way.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully still fit, eating clean. Those are things that are really important to me. 5 years from now, my ultimate hope, man, beyond everything I said, is that my kids are on the right path. Like, dude, I want, my son, Peter, my daughter, Sophia, like, I want them like on the path to success. Not just success financially, which I think that's super important, but I also want the success of like their mental health, of like happiness, that to me is more important than anything else. And it's so hard because like, what does that look like? And how do I predict that that's going to happen, and how is it going to happen, So, but if you were to ask me like 5 years from now, the ultimate thing I want is I want that for my kids is like success, both happiness and financial,
Same as the guest I had before, which was a woman.
Really?
Yeah.
What did she say?
It was Spanish, but obviously stability. She has a very abundant life right now.
Yeah.
But she wants both because she's reading this book that is The Millionaire Mind.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that we're reading it together.
That's awesome.
She's we're sharing the story. She's a little bit of ahead. That makes me just want to go home now and read more.
Yeah.
But the Millionaire Mind, and she's like, there's room for both, because we're grown up with the myth of millionaires are bad, or they have a bad mindset of they're assholes. O los millonarios tienen una manera de ser cabrona. A bad way of being. But she was also saying about how we can have both.
You can have both.
We can have all the abundance in life, but I also want to be at ease with my family, and I want to feel happy.
Yeah.
And enjoy both. Because when we're not in alignment with money
Mhm.
and being free and happy, what's the money anyways?
What's the money?
Right? So I think if you focus, like I don't know if you've seen any of the stuff of Matthew McConaughey,
Mm-hmm.
the 5 rules he's got.
I haven't seen that. Tell me
Yeah.
about the 5 rules.
No, I'll let you see it.
Okay.
So if Google it up, he's got 5 rules in his life that are extremely important.
He's super wise, man.
Super important.
Yeah.
And I'll let you we'll talk about it after you see it. I want you to, because I see a very good hearted man. You talked about faithfulness. I preached that. I wasn't that way when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because of many things I saw, and when I got into my marriage, I said, man, I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for me.
For sure. That's awesome.
There's going to be a lot of things, and especially when you start to become successful, there's a lot of temptations in the road, but you don't see them as temptations anymore because it's a battle with yourself of you committing to yourself that there's nothing else that I should look at, man. And as a man, one of the very good things that I went back to reading was that book, The Way of the Superior Man, and Matthew McConaughey, the 5 rules.
All right.
To his life.
I'm really interested in reading about the 5 rules.
Yeah. It's a video that he's got. It's a long video that I think he did for college that he talks about. I might send you a link later.
Okay.
I love it. It's very simple. Breaks it down easily. How you have to maintain those 5s so that you can be in abundance in all of them, right? So, man, such an honor to have you here. I wanna leave you with one last question, so that what would be your advice to anybody watching?
To anybody watching?
Yeah.
You know, like if you like whatever dreams you have in life, you know, go for it. You know, like don't let people from the outside discourage you. You know, don't let like what people are gonna think about you discourage you. You go and do it, you know, and do it to the fullest. You know what I mean? That's it.
What an honor, brother.
Oh man, what an honor. Thank you.
Like
bro.
I said before, it's just flew by, almost an hour passed. So amazing, bro. It's just you're natural for sure.
You think so?
Yeah, you're natural for sure. I think we have many more times like this. So I'd
love to come back, man.
Yeah, I'd love to have you back. What do we know? Where do we find you?
I'm not an influencer. I'm just a regular, you know, just a middle class kind of dad, 2 kids, wife. But you can find me at Pedro Perez Jr. on Instagram. I'm the first Pedro Perez you've ever met that doesn't speak Spanish, and that's also 6'5".